So my name is Nat, and I don't know if all of you know me or not, but I'm the customer service and retail team leader. I've worked here for quite a while now, so almost 8 years. So I've dealt with many difficult customers in my time, and so I've just put together a bit of a presentation of trainings we run for the customer service team, and just some tips and hints, and there's some videos as well, just to help you guys kind of deal with all the abuse you're copying out on the spa sauna and steam room and in your roles. So, a bit of an agenda for today. So, we're going to go through what is a difficult customer, like what defines it, our aim when we're dealing with them, how we can help prevent them, your safety and the safety of other patrons, incident reporting, some videos, and they're just some cute little videos that I found on YouTube that have some really good tips and hints, some definite do's and don'ts, positive body language, some other tips that I've just put together, and then some stuff specific to the spa, sauna, and steam room. So some specific examples. These trainings are always, I guess, better run in person when you can practice. Like usually I'd break you into groups, get you to practice some of the tips and hints and some scenarios. But obviously we can't have those kind of meetings in person now, so over Teams. So stop me at any point if you've got any questions or anything like that. Okay, so the first one is, what is a difficult customer? So I guess when you're dealing with someone, you need to determine whether like they're a difficult customer or not, or if they're just someone who's a bit upset. And that kind of determines what route you go down with and how you deal with them. So a difficult customer is someone who is deliberately refusing the requirements of staff. So one of our main centre rules is that people must follow the instructions of staff at all times. So someone is difficult when they're not doing that. And then someone who behaves irrationally towards staff or other patrons, including verbal abuse, swearing, physical violence, or any threatening behaviour. So threatening behaviour can be standing over you, pointing their finger in your face, anything like that. So I guess those 4 points are pretty important. We don't stand for that, and you guys shouldn't stand for that at all. Nothing warrants that, no matter what mistake we've made or anything like that. So we need to nip that in the bud when it starts happening. And yeah, so customers can make unreasonable requests, they can exaggerate and lie, and they may not understand what we can and can't do for them. So sometimes it's just a matter of that they don't understand our rules and they don't understand what we can do for them. So what you can do, I guess, as a lifeguard or an aquatic concierge might be different to what management could offer them. So we've always got to try and work towards a solution. And with that said, people can be difficult, but they always deserve to be treated as if they're important, and they need to feel like we've listened to them and got their point, because a lot of the time when it spirals out of control is when they feel like we're not listening to them and we're not taking on their point or seeing it from their point of view. Okay, our aim when we're dealing with them. So our aim is always to, we don't want to jump in and straight away think, oh, they're raising their voice a little bit, I'm going to kick them out straight away. Our aim is always we want to de-escalate the situation and achieve a good outcome, because we want to keep our members, but we also want them to behave themselves. So our aim is, to get to a good resolution without the need to ask the customer to leave the centre or call the police, because it's never fun for anyone if we need to get to that point. We need to understand that customers will get angry, upset, or frustrated with our policies and procedures, and that is okay. So I guess it's then working with them to get a solution. And it's okay to be unhappy with a service that's being provided. It's okay for them to be unhappy that they can't get a spot in the spa or in the steam room, but it's not okay when they start abusing us or getting physically violent or verbally abusive. There is great importance in recognising when a customer has crossed the line versus when they're unhappy. So I've got a little video to show you guys.
Yep.
Can you hear it?
If a customer is being
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay.
rude to you, there's a fair chance that someone has made a mistake along the way, and an equally fair chance that someone else messed up again when trying to fix it. The customer's level of trust in your organisation may be fairly low, so you're going to have to work hard to turn that around. Start by simply listening. Let them vent and get their anger off their chest. Interrupting won't work here. Let them talk themselves out. At the same time, ascertain what the real issue is and try to understand why they're upset.
And then the next idiot went and ordered the exact same part again. So I've waited for a week again, and now I still don't have the right part. And I've got people waiting on this, so I'm letting my own customers down because of you morons. It's just not acceptable.
Mr. Taylor, I agree. It's not acceptable and we have to do something to make this right for you. I can see that we've messed up, so I'm going to place the order for the correct part right now. And I'm going to confirm with you the part number so we can make sure it's the right one. Then I'm going to ask for it to be express courier to you at our expense. Is that solution okay for you?
Oh, yeah. Okay, thanks.
By letting the customer vent, they get everything off their chest and are more than receptive to your solution. By listening carefully to what went wrong, you can then come up with the best solution to the situation, and by asking them if they're okay with your solution, you allow them a sense of control. So remember, listen, let them vent, and then focus on a solution that meets their needs.
Okay, so that was just a little snippet of a video that had some kind of good points. So a lot of the time when people are really angry and unreasonable, it is because we've made mistakes along the way and it's kind of all bottled up now. So that is an important part in, I guess, preventing difficult customers, which I'll go on to next. Yeah. Okay. So preventing difficult customers. So there's no magic trick to it, but each customer is different and everyone reacts differently, and that's just a fact of life, I guess. But consistency, reliability, and predictability of a service helps our customers know what to expect when they arrive, and it helps them have consistency in their visit. So when we get things wrong and when they come to the centre and they have one experience one day, and then the next, say, couple of days they come in and someone follows a different rule, and I'm sure you would have all experienced that out on pool deck, it always is not helpful to the person who's dealing with them, because they've been told one thing by one person and then someone else is telling them a different rule, and then that's when it spirals out of control, because then they lose trust in us and they think which is the actual right rule to follow and why aren't our staff doing the right thing. So that's a big part in preventing difficult customers. So always, if you feel like bending the rules, always think of the next person that's going to have to deal with that customer, and that's always a good thing to have in the back of your head. It's part of teamwork, so we want to try and do the best we can and provide the most consistent service to our customers. All right, so safety first. Kind of like when you're doing first aid or anything like that, it's always your safety comes first, and then the safety of other staff and other customers. So there are times when you'll go through all the hints and tips, but it won't help in dealing with someone. They're just too far gone, or they might be under the influence, they might be just a really nasty person, so you're never going to get anywhere with them. So if they are getting physically violent or anything like that, and you feel unsafe, say they've got a knife or something, or a bottle or whatever, don't take any chances. If you believe anyone else is in danger, call the police straight away on 000. In most cases, though, the duty manager should be consulted before you do call 000, except when it's something where you're at immediate risk. So say they punch someone in wellness, you'd obviously call the police straight away because that's assault, and what if they do it to somebody else? If it was more like they're really not following directions, they're sitting in the spa and they're not getting out, then you might call the police to evict them for us. They can take a while though, obviously, because police will go to the most high priority things first, but it's still good to call the police, and if they are here when that patron is still here, it makes it a bit more serious for them. If you yourself are in immediate danger and you don't really have the means to call 000, radio the DM. You can always hold down your radio button so other people can hear what's happening, or you can signal other lifeguards or signal anyone around you. Hopefully by that point, if it was getting that out of control, customers would help as well. They'd go get other staff. And you can also use the duress button on your radio, which is, I think it's a little red button on the side. So what happens when you press that is it starts relaying your conversation to, I think it's the duty manager or all other radios, I think. But it won't let anything come through to you, so it doesn't look obvious. So it's kind of a bit more of a discreet way of alerting other people. So when you're next in, have a look at the radio so you know where that button is. Incident reporting. So always complete an incident report form if you believe a customer has been abusive or behaved inappropriately. So this isn't to say every time someone gets upset, you fill out an incident report form. It's any time it's escalated. So anytime you felt unsafe or uncomfortable, you want to fill out an incident report form. They're very important for us because it being a council facility, we don't have the kind of pleasure of just suspending or cancelling members as we like. So I guess with council, we have to be fair and equitable to all people. So we have to follow quite a strict process anytime we ban someone's access. So the more of a case we have against someone, the better. So if you fill out an incident report form and we have 5 incident report forms for the same person, it's highly likely that we'll be able to suspend them, I guess, versus no incident report forms. So when you're filling out an incident report form, it doesn't matter if you can't identify who they were, but a description will help identify the person using CCTV. So it's actually been quite helpful at the moment with the QR codes at reception, because if we know roughly the time that someone came in, we can always go back and look at CCTV and see what they filled out on their QR code thing, and that's how we can get their details. We can also use our membership system to see if they scanned in their band at a certain time. So all things like that will help us. If there were any witnesses as well, please encourage them to also fill out an incident report form. So that's more for customers. If there was staff members that were witnessed, they would have to fill out an incident report form. Let your supervisor know immediately about the incident and ensure that the incident report is also signed off by the duty manager, because the duty manager will pass it on to Elise as well, and she will get straight onto it. When completing incident report forms, it's super important to keep them professional and factual, because sometimes we do get in disputes with customers when we are trying to suspend them, and there's a thing with council called freedom of information. So if they request freedom of information, they actually have access to any communication we've written about them. So that's a good thing to keep in mind for emails as well. So I wouldn't go emailing saying, oh, this person was a massive bitch. Like, you can't say things like that in it. You'd say more focus on the behaviour and what actually happened, not your judgments of it. Okay, so when you come to actually filling out an incident report form, so they're all kept. There's some in the office, there's some at first aid stations. If they've run out, make sure you just see the duty manager and they'll be able to print you another one. So you want to include as much detail as possible, very similar to a first aid form. You want the date, the time, very accurate. You want to fill it out as soon as possible after the incident, because accuracy is key with these, and details can be lost if you fill it out late. So I guess if you fill it out straight after, you're going to remember exactly what the customer said to you, if they swore at you, whereas maybe if you fill it out a couple of days later, you might have forgotten exactly what happened. Keeping it factual, so no assumptions or personal opinions. If you don't know, like say for example, you think someone might have been on drugs, don't say they were on drugs, you say they were acting like they might have been under the influence of something. Use quotes where possible. For example, they said, well, you can go and get effed if you won't let me in, so write that down, and pointed her finger in my face. So you want to write things down like that so we know exactly what they said to you and how inappropriate it was. Write timings and entrance points if you know them, because this can help with CCTV. And if you don't know who they are, describe them in as much detail as possible, because we'll obviously need that for CCTV. We recently upgraded our security cameras, so we actually get really, really good images from it, and we can zoom in and stuff like that.
Dealing with a difficult customer is one of the toughest challenges for frontline staff. Of course, no business is immune to difficult customers, so these strategies will help you effectively mediate disputes and turn difficult customers into devoted fans. It's vital to let an angry customer vent their feelings while you give them your full attention. You may feel compelled to interrupt as they recount what's transpired, but don't. Let them continue. In person, make eye contact, be alert, and show empathy, nodding from time to time, even if the customer is irrational. Over the phone, make the occasional indication that you're listening and empathising, even just a sympathetic "oh" sound. If you want to raise an issue, leave it until they've finished, perhaps making notes as they speak. Let your customer vent all of their anger in one burst, after which you can focus on the solution. And when they have finished speaking or shouting, leave a second or two of silence and make your initial response an empathetic one. And I'm totally sick of it.
Mr. Jameson, I hear exactly what you're saying.
Allowing the customer to get it all out of their system reinforces the fact you have listened intently and almost certainly will have a full understanding of the complaint. No one should have to put up with foul language or abuse from a customer. If you find yourself in this situation, you need to interrupt the customer.
John, while I'm more than happy to help you, I cannot do so if you continue to swear. Is that understood?
The last part is important. You need them to confirm that they understand. If the caller's behaviour does not change, you should be very clear about what will happen if they continue.
John, I want to help you, but I simply cannot if you continue to swear at me. If this happens again, I will have no option but to terminate our discussion. Is that clear?
This doesn't work. You would simply state,
John, you've left me no alternative but to terminate this conversation.
and walk away. Or if you're on the phone, hang up.
This pressure is just starting to build up. Just notice that in his body language. His body language is just starting to change. You can feel the pressure that's building up from him. You're not allowing him to score.
Someone's got their microphone on. Can you please mute it?
Rude customers come in all shapes and sizes. Perhaps a little old lady, a surly teenager, a sleepless parent, or just someone in a hurry. Whether their behaviour is justified or not, dealing with a rude customer can be a stressful experience for the customer service agent. Putting in place these tips and techniques will help diffuse a tense situation and make you feel happier and more comfortable at work. The most important thing to do when dealing with rude customers is to remain calm. Replying to their rudeness in kind or losing your temper will only escalate the situation. Remember that you're a professional. Stay calm and keep in mind that whilst the customer is taking their frustrations out on you personally, the real cause of their problem is something else. Focus on the solution rather than the insult. The quicker you solve the problem, the quicker the unpleasant discussion will end. If you take things personally, the situation can quickly escalate out of control.
You people are just hopeless. Don't any of you have brains? It's like none of you even completed school.
I'll have you know I have a university degree, thank you very much.
Well, it doesn't show. Even a monkey could have done a better job than this.
In this example, responding to the insult only escalated the situation. But if you remain calm and professional and focus on the solution, you can de-escalate the situation and potentially turn the rude customer into a more satisfied one.
You people are just hopeless. Don't any of you have brains? It's like none of you even completed school.
Mr. Brand, I agree that this is really frustrating. What I'm going to do for you is
In this second scenario, the customer service provider has reoriented the discussion around the solution instead of focusing on the rude insult itself. So remember, stay calm, stay professional, and focus on the solution.
I think they're cute and they're pretty relevant. I think some of the main points are like not taking the bait if people are trying to bait you, and I think some of the responses are really good. So when people are swearing at you, giving them a warning, saying, "I'm trying to help you. If you do continue to swear at me, I'm going to have to end the conversation." And then if they continue swearing, say, "Yeah, I told you I'm not going to be able to help you if you keep swearing at me, so I'm going to have to end the conversation now," and actually end the conversation. Don't keep engaging with them. And then, yeah, I guess it depends what happens from there. If they keep going, then we're probably going to have to get the duty manager involved and maybe get them escorted out. But hopefully that will work, and they will start listening to you. Some other do's and don'ts. So acknowledging the customer's concern and listen to what they want. Most of the time they just need to vent their anger, and this doesn't mean you should stand for abusive language. So it's totally their right to provide us with feedback and tell us if they're upset. but it's when it starts escalating that we won't accept it. Focus on what we can do. So one of our things is we never say, I can't do anything for you. There's always something we can do, whether it just be that we're going to get a manager for them or we're going to get a manager to call them back if it's on the weekend. So never use those words because that just riles people up even more. Report through emails and incident reports. Refer to another staff member if you're unable to control the dispute. I know sometimes people feel like it's a fail if you need to refer it on to somebody else, but really like there's science behind it that sometimes it's just the first person they get, they're not going to believe and they're not going to trust. So get a second person, and often they'll listen to the second person, and as frustrating as it is, if it helps get someone out of the centre, if it helps them stop being abusive and raising their voice, then who really cares as long as it's dealt with. Call the police to remove customers who are refusing to leave and who continue to obey staff direction. Use positive body language and maintain eye contact and an open stance, and agree with their emotion. So you can agree with their emotion, but you don't necessarily have to agree with their point. So I guess that's when you'd say, I completely understand that you're frustrated, but you don't have to say, I completely agree that this process is crap or anything like that. Next. So don't threaten to members that we will cancel or suspend their membership. That may be a result of their behaviour, but this is a decision for management based on the incident report forms. It actually goes above management, so you guys get a bit of background. So what will happen with the incident report form is Elise and Paige will get kind of a little case together, and then they take it to our council legal team, and then it's actually the council legal team that decides whether we can suspend them or not and for how long. So that's usually what happens. Take the bait. So don't take the bait. Behaviours designed to get you to react in an emotional manner, usually blaming, demeaning or threatening, or telling you can't do your job. If you respond to the bait, you hand over control to the customer, and then that's when you start getting in an argument with them. You get emotional, and it just, it doesn't help the situation. Don't be defensive, because this often fuels an argument, which is not what we want. We just want to focus on a solution. Don't refer to management without first attempting to resolve the issue. So don't get the duty manager out straight away. You do want to try and deal with it to the best of your ability first, unless of course it's like violence or anything like that. Don't agree with derogatory comments about the centre and our staff, regardless of the accuracy. So if someone says to you, I came last night and I spoke to Nat and she was a massive bitch and she didn't follow the rules, you wouldn't say, I agree, she's pretty bad. You would say, I'm really sorry that that happened and for the inconsistency, but this is the rule moving forward, or something like that. Don't physically touch the customer, even if you're trying to remove them from the centre, especially now with COVID-19, you want to maintain your distance. Don't say there is nothing I can do, because there's always something we can do, even if it's offering a manager to contact them. And don't use negative body language, so no crossing of your arms or pointing at the customer. So I've just done a slide on positive body language, because body language is a big part of how we actually resolve difficult customers and their perception on us. So things we want to do, we don't want to get negative from the get-go. And I know that's pretty hard when we're getting abused every day at the moment. I know we can get defensive and we can close off straight away, but we really need to make, a conscious effort to be being positive and showing positive body language. So we want to have an open and approachable stance with good posture. So standing up straight, not slouching or turning your body away from the customer or crossing your arms, because that shows defensiveness. It shows you're trying to close off, so you want to be open. Have your arms by your sides, so don't cross your arms or fidget with anything like your radio or your lanyard, because that shows that you're uninterested in the customer. You want to smile or have a neutral expression. When I say smile, smile when they approach you. If they then start being angry at you, don't keep smiling, because that looks condescending. So then you would have a neutral expression, maybe even a bit of a concern, like agreeing, like empathizing with them. Don't frown, roll your eyes, or kind of look at them in a questioning way, like they're not making sense or something like that. Maintain eye contact, because that builds trust. So don't look away from the customer or look uninterested in the conversation. Obviously, if you're a lifeguard and you need to cover your area, then do that first before you get into this engagement. Maintain personal space. So that's important for them and for you. So don't step into their personal space, because that's threatening. But then also don't let them step into your personal space. So if they start taking steps towards you, what you should do is take steps back. And then if they say they back you into a corner, obviously you're going to try and get out of that and move somewhere else. And another thing actually I was going to say is, when these things are happening and when you're dealing with a difficult customer, it's always good to take them away from a crowd. So especially with the spa sauna and steam room, it can be very, very embarrassing for someone if you go in and kick them out in front of people. So the best thing to do is just say, do you mind coming out? I just need to have a chat to you. Because that's better, and then you take them to a quieter spot and a spot that's away from people, because people get a lot more angry when you berate them or belittle them in front of other people, and that can just add fuel to the fire. And then using your voice, so using an appropriate tone and volume in your voice. You want to be pleasant, empathetic, and loud enough, but not shouting at them. And yeah, don't use an inappropriate tone and volume in your voice. So you don't want to shout, accuse, or be too quiet either. You want them to be able to hear and understand what you're saying. Some tips. Okay, so if you feel you've tried all those tips, you've tried to deal with it to the best of your ability, but you feel like you're not getting anywhere at all, and there is no one more senior to refer to, then you want to end the conversation with something along the lines of the following. I'm sorry, Maddie, but I do not feel as though this conversation is moving in a positive direction. I'm going to take down your contact information and ask my manager to call you. When is an appropriate time for them to call you? So you want them to feel like they've got the control. So they might say, oh, Monday at 9 a.m. as soon as they're in. And you'll say, yep, I'll get someone to call you then. And then we need to make sure we follow through with that. So if you do promise anything like that, it's super duper important that you pass on the message, because then if it gets to a point where they have to call us and we haven't called them, then that's when it gets really bad. Also offer the appropriate coordinator's business card if they want to be the one to make contact, because sometimes people don't want to be expecting a call, they want to do it themselves. So you can offer them that as well, and just give them realistic expectations. Say, if you don't know when that coordinator will be in, just say, I'll get someone to contact you. That coordinator might be in next week. So at some point next week, they will call you. And their business cards can be found at the reception desk. So if you just go out and see reception, they'll be able to find the coordinator's card for you, which will have their email address and their contact number. If past that point, the customer continues to be abusive or wants to keep arguing despite your efforts to end the conversation, let them know the following. So, I'm sorry, Maddie, but I've tried to resolve this with you, yet I, no one in the centre at the moment, can provide you with what you're requesting today. I will ensure my manager contacts you to discuss your request. I now have to continue serving other customers. Thank you. And it might not be serving other customers. You can adjust that. Obviously, you wouldn't say it word for word, put it in your own words, but you might say, I've got to take other bookings now, for example. Then immediately move on to other customers to show you're no longer going to stand for their behaviour. And then I guess by that point, if they continue, that's when we call the police or escort them out, or try and escort them out anyway. Okay, so now there's just a couple more slides to go through some spa, sauna and steam room specifics. So most of our disputes are arising from there. So although it doesn't excuse the abuse, many of the disputes we've found have been from staff error or inconsistency. So they might have been booked in the wrong spot, they might have been booked in too late or too early. So I guess that's when it comes back to preventing difficult customers. We need to make sure we're all on the same page and we're all following the right and the same rules. So I just thought I'd touch on what the rules are for the spa, sauna and steam room at the moment. So bookings are essential. Bookings can be made no more than 1 hour in advance of the session time. That's a really important one, because that's where a lot of the disputes have been arising from. People see that there's been no one up at the right time to book, and then it's already full, and then they get really upset because they're trying to do the right thing. When taking bookings, you must get the first name, last name and contact number. This one's very important because of the abuse we're copying, I guess. It's great to have who was in that spa, sauna, steam room at that time, whether it be because we need the details of whoever was doing the abusing, or if we maybe want to contact them to see if they'll write a witness statement about what happened. Then you need to ensure you're putting the customer's booking in the correct area. Triple check it if you need to. Ask the customer, and always confirm with the customer. So I've got you booked at 3:30 for the spa and 4 o'clock for the sauna, for example, just to make sure it's right. Then apologising. So that's another point that I think sometimes people are hesitant to apologise. With an apology, doesn't mean they're right, you're wrong. It's just a way to diffuse a conflict, really. So, and when you're apologising, it doesn't mean you're admitting fault. You might just apologise to agree with their emotion, which is what we usually do. That's why it needs to be carefully worded. So, for example, John comes to you to book a session that is in an hour's time and it is already booked out. He's extremely upset because he has tried to do the right thing, but our staff have made an error and taken bookings more than an hour in advance. I completely understand your frustration, John, and I'm very sorry about the inconsistency. You are correct. Bookings can be made no more than an hour in advance of the session time. I'll pass this feedback on to my team leader so that a reminder can be sent to staff to prevent this from happening again. The session at 4:30 p.m. is fully booked now, but I can book you for the next available session, which is 5 p.m. So with that, you can see I haven't agreed with them about being upset with another staff member, but we still are addressing the issue because it is our issue. And then you don't necessarily have to bend the rules for them. You're not going to kick someone out of the session that's already booked in. So you just do your best for what you can do for them at that time. And then it's important to put yourself in the customer's shoes and empathise with them. It is very hard to stay angry at someone who's giving you a genuine apology. So I guess if you guys try to think just when someone's apologising to you, kind of diffuses the situation already, because what are you going to say to someone who's saying sorry and admitting fault? It's like, where else can you go from there? So it's always a good thing to do as well. Okay, and some complaints from members. I know a lot of the members are complaining because they feel that they should be guaranteed a spot because they're a member, or that they shouldn't be charged their full membership fee because they are having trouble getting a spot. So I've kind of written up a little response that you can say to these people. So we currently experience extremely high demand for access to the spa, sauna and steam area. There are strict capacity limits still in place to keep everyone safe and prevent the spread of COVID-19. If you feel like you're not receiving value from your membership, you can place your membership on hold and reactivate it when restrictions ease and capacities increase. And then if they would like to take advantage of that option, refer them to reception, and reception will help them suspend their membership. So that's also, that suspension would be free of charge, and then they could just pay casually when they know they'll be able to get a spot. That's all from me. So thank you for coming. Always remember these 4 easy steps. So it actually says steps. So safety first, talk to the customer and understand their point of view. The E stands for eye contact, so always maintain eye contact, and then the P is for positive body language. So there's some key things you want to be doing when you're dealing with a difficult customer. Remember also that it's a skill. You're not just born with the ability to deal with difficult customers. The more you do it, the better you become at doing it. So don't be afraid to have a go and make a mistake, because it's all part of the learning process and you'll get better each time you do it. And then debrief and reflect after and see where you could have done better. And also if you've been abused, it's always good to just come in to the staff room, have a little bit of a sit down and a breather, because as much as you might be putting on a front that you're okay, you might come into the staff room and burst into tears, and that's completely fine as well, because it is a hard thing to deal with.
Cool. So I just wanted to quickly run over the new controls that we have implemented in that area, just because we are trying. So we can appreciate it is really tough in there right now. Hence trying to do this training to help you guys equipped with some more customer service stuff. So currently the duty manager's uniform has changed to blue. So when they're approaching a customer and you've asked for assistance and you can speak to the duty manager, they're not coming up as another lifeguard, they're coming up as a blue, so they look more official. Hopefully that's a little bit easier to deal with the customer disputes, so they are talking to someone and they're not looking like just another lifeguard. We've got a bunch of new signage. I'm not sure if everyone's seen it, but we've got signage on how the booking is operated, how many people are in each zone and area, as well as literally a really ugly sign that says, "We will not tolerate staff abuse." It's huge, you can't miss it. There's one on the front as you walk in as well. So again, hopefully they are helping. I've put a desk in the wellness as well, so rather than kind of standing in limbo a little bit, you are standing behind a desk. It is also giving you a bit more space between yourself and the customer, so for COVID, and B, if they are starting to get up in your face, you can just kind of like nicely stand behind that desk and you've still got that space between yourself and them. Customers for our casual capacity are no longer getting charged in this area, so they were getting charged the normal extra amount. They're not anymore, just because it was causing too many issues in that you weren't necessarily going to get a spot because it's such a high demand. Obviously, as Nat said before, we're capturing the first, last name and phone number, just because then it is super easy for us to track, particularly if they've had a run-in with a staff member previously that in the last week or so, and we didn't have their details. They've come back again and now we've got their number, so we can follow up with people on telling them, you can't talk to our staff in that regard. So that is helping actually quite a bit. We're trialing the security guards. Not sure if we're going to stick with them at the moment because we've had a couple of issues here and there with them. We might get another staff member in there. Not 100% sure how that's going to look yet, but again, we're trying something different just to have some more support in there. And then also we had those social media posts and education go out that we are just trying to do our best in COVID. Unfortunately, those areas can't up the capacity. It's just not possible at the moment with the requirements. So yeah, I guess for you guys, just we do understand and appreciate it's quite difficult in there at the moment. Everyone feels a little bit heightened in there when they're working in there. Try not to be, because we want to go into each conversation with someone not expecting a fight. We want to, just try and assist people where we can. But yeah, I just guess we wanted to make sure that you guys knew that we are trying all these different controls to try and make that area a little easier to work in, I guess. So, talking on pool deck. Please don't talk to the lifeguards on pool deck. I know everyone's friends. It's awesome. It's good that we have a good team and everyone gets along. It's great. But the lifeguards really do need to concentrate on supervising the pool as their GSPOs require. Obviously, you can touch base if you need assistance. We know with difficult customers, if you need them to press the spa button on their way around, that's totally fine. Just please, for long periods of time, don't talk to the lifeguards. The perception to other members and guests is quite poor as well. And if you are roaming, which is the next topic anyway, please make sure you're cleaning and disinfecting if you're not required anywhere else to help anywhere else with numbers or anything. So just please don't talk to lifeguards on pool deck unless required. Our cleaning, so in the works at the moment of updating the cleaning checklists we started with, but we've kind of moved away from. So I'm going to update them for areas. So just so we've got a little bit more structure as to what we're cleaning. So that should be out early next week. I'll stick them on the desks. You can just tick it off with a whiteboard marker and put your initials once you've done those things. It'll just be like your normal wellness cleaning that you should be doing anyway. So your spa railing, door handles, that sort of thing in that area. At the end of just before the deep clean, just take a photo of it on the iPad, and then again at the end of the day, just take a photo of it, just so then again, if we have people come and audit us for any sort of COVID stuff, we've got a bit more, we've got our normal cleaners doing stuff, and then we've also got some records of like what we're doing on pool deck to assist maintain COVID safe facility. And then all our cleaning chemicals, pardon me, in the 25-meter storeroom. If you need any more, just ask the duty manager. There's a bunch in there at the moment, so we should be right for stock. But if you do need more, we've got another stash downstairs as well. So just keep that in mind. That's it. Honestly, I just wanted to say thank you so much for everybody's hard work. I know we're finally in a little bit more of a place where it's a little bit more consistent with what we're doing. A little bit of a shamble at the start, having to change everything every 2 weeks. But I just, a big thank you at the moment, particularly with everything that's going on. Do know that we do appreciate you working really hard, picking up shifts, that sort of thing, helping us out. So yeah, just keep that in mind, that we are trying to do the best that we can for you and support you the best way we can. But again, thank you so much.